So for today's upload, I will be discussing all things going back to school. Now, there will be no singing in today's upload simply because I want to get right to the point. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with my channel, I am an elementary school teacher here in Ontario, Canada. I teach grade 1. And it was recently announced by our Minister of Education for Ontario that for kindergarten to grade 3, masks would be encouraged, but not mandatory. For grades 4 to 8, and I'm specifically referencing those grades because I teach in the elementary panel. So my school goes from kindergarten to grade 8. So for grades 4 through 8 in my school, masks will be mandatory. Now, I would like to start off by letting you know something prior to discussing the products that I will be using for my return to school, a safe return, or as safe as I can make it. The word cohort is being thrown around a lot. And I know that we are all capable of looking up the definition of the word cohort. But I feel that it's being thrown around very irresponsibly in the public by people who are supposed to be our leaders. Now, I want to tell you that in a report that was done by Sick Kids, the Hospital for Sick Children, prior to our Minister of Education and our Premier making their announcement, I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, this report clearly indicated that in order to ensure a successful and safe return to school in the fall or in September, where social distancing and our social distancing from the beginning of this pandemic here in Ontario has been 2 meters, where a safe social distance of 2 meters cannot be maintained or ensured, masks would be essential to assist in the prevention of the spread of COVID-19. Now, I won't get into everything because if you live here in Canada, if you live in Ontario, you can look this up yourself. However, masks are not mandatory for kindergarten to grade 3. And herein is where I have the problem with the word cohort. To me, a cohort sounds like a small group. However, for the purposes of returning to school, a cohort simply means the same group that you will be staying with all day. So in grade 1, your class average is typically capped at, that means the maximum that will be allowed is 20. However, on average, in a school of my size, which has about 400 to 450 students, one class in each division. So you have your primary, which is K to 3, you have your junior, which is grades 4 to 6, and you have your intermediate, which is grades 7 and 8. One class in each division is allowed to go up and up and up and well beyond the cap. So for the purposes of the return to school, all that a cohort means is a regular classroom group. My cohort will be my class. The grade 3 cohort will be the grade 3 class. So I just want to make that clear to the public. When our minister keeps referring to cohorts, and we are discussing the elementary panel, kindergarten through grade 8, it's going to be your average class. There's absolutely no change. So in grade 8, you could have a class of up to, let's say 33, 34 students in one class wearing masks. I will not go into this in too much detail because I'm sure many of you have seen the average classroom before. And when I say the average, I'm talking about a public school that's funded by taxpayer dollars, not a private school. Picture the average. I just was looking around my room to try to compare for size. It's about probably double, 1.5 the size of my bedroom. the average classroom, picture 31, to 34 preteen kids being in that class, and you figure out how they are going to distance safely. Just putting on a mask doesn't keep you safe. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Now, I just wanted to get that cohort word addressed so that people could be more informed and make hopefully more informed decisions based on that term that is being very recklessly thrown around, in my opinion, in the media. Okay, so what else would I like to discuss with you right now? I will be returning to school as of today's date, which is August the 14th, I believe. Announcements keep coming as science, more scientific evidence, support, research becomes available. But as of today's date, my province is set to return to school for September the 8th. So as I said, I teach grade 1. My class is not mandated to wear masks. I, however, will be wearing a half-face respirator. I typically wear a full-face respirator when I go into a small enclosed area, and I'll insert a picture of that somewhere here. But I will be wearing a half-face respirator and a face shield as well, because I am wanting to ensure the safety of my family when I return home at the end of the day. So let's discuss what my return to school will look like and that of my family. So I have 3 children. I have a son who is going into senior kindergarten, so he'll be turning 5 soon. Now, as I mentioned, masks are not mandatory for his age group. However, they are strongly encouraged. He's looking at about 29 children in his classroom as of right now. Just FYI, that was another thing that was mentioned in the report from the Hospital for Sick Children, was that where in smaller groups of 15, maximum 15 could be permitted, that was what was safest for the students to ensure the proper social distancing. So none of that is happening. I will tell you that our Minister of Education and our Premier has made a big deal of this one-time offer, one-time deal wherein boards can dip into their reserves to do what they see fit with the money. However, we, as far as I understand, are not receiving any direction insofar as smaller class size go. And that was key. That's absolutely essential. So for my son who is in kindergarten, he will be wearing a child's sized mask, and this particular mask does have a pocket wherein a filter can be inserted. These are washable, and as I said, this will be in a child size. So he has quite a few of these masks to alternate between to ensure his safety. My husband and I felt that this is what is easiest for our youngest child, and we want to ensure that he is keeping it on and not having too much of a difficult time. So the harder or more, I don't want to use the word inconveniencing, but the more difficult a mask is for a child to wear for a prolonged period of time, the more likely they are to take it off. So in order to encourage him to keep his mask on for longer, as many of you know, a lot of the masks have this elastic that goes around your ear. Now, I find when I wear a mask like this, even after, it doesn't bother me, but after a while, if you have long hair and have ever worn a ponytail, if you are someone who has worn a bra in your life, after a while, you kind of just start fiddling with straps. You start tugging at elastics, and it feels so good when you take those elastics and straps off. So I was at my local mall, and I went to a store called Be Safe. This is not an advertisement. This is not a promotion. This is in no way being sponsored. I'm just showing you what I found. So this is a little extender that goes behind your head, and the loops fit on the button. So my hope is that the more comfortable I can make this mask for my youngest son, the more likely he is to keep it on. Now, the second thing I wanted to point out is hand sanitizer. So I'm going to tell you that in my specific school where I teach, 2 out of the 3 kindergarten classes have sinks. 1 classroom upstairs has a sink. For the remainder of every single student in the entire school, there are sinks in the washroom. And that is it. So you do the math. With 400 to 450 students, there are 3 sinks in classrooms and a washroom sink. And I believe our washroom is equipped to hold 5 stalls, so 5 students at a time. So I did purchase some hand sanitizer from Bath and Body Works, and I purchased the scented kind that I thought my children would be most likely to use. I need you to stop calling me. You can tell me something after, okay? So to also hold these hand sanitizers, I purchased quite a few of these little holders from Bath and Body Works. As a mother of 3 children, I know that things have a tendency to break as kids are rough with them, careless with them, or the more they use them, the more likely they are to break. So I did purchase quite a few of these. So these are going to hang on my kids' bags. I haven't decided if I want them to hang on their lunch bags as well. We'll see what the protocol is for returning to school. Now, there are certain things that I will mention throughout because as I remember them from reading or from the news, then I want to share them with you. For those whose children will be taking the school bus, I received word in our return to school document that our particular carrier will be having 3 students to a seat. I don't know if they're planning on having a distance between, as in occupied seat, empty seat, occupied seat, but 3 students to a seat. Now, the return to school document that I'm referring to did not indicate whether these 3 children would be from the same family. So my 3 kids, for example, could sit in the same seat. I would be okay with that because they've been in my social bubble, my social circle the whole time. I've been in charge of their safety and well-being. I'm fine with them being together. However, if you have 1 child and the bus is full, does that mean that your child is then going to be seated with 2 other children who are not from your own family? I don't know. That would be something that I would want to know prior to sending my kids on the bus. All 3 of my kids, in case I forgot to mention, will be returning to school. So, in addition to the mask, my youngest, my one going into senior kindergarten, will also be wearing this face shield, which I purchased from the same store as the extender. And again, the store was called Be Safe. Again, this is not sponsored. This is not an ad. I am not making any money. I'm just sharing things that I have found so far to do my best to ensure my children's safety. There is a plastic protective cover, which is why this looks foggy. I don't plan on taking that off, but so my youngest will be wearing the mask with the face shield over top. And it is my hope that during snack and lunchtime, when he removes the mask to eat, that he will keep the face shield on. Whether or not he'll do that, I don't know. I can only keep my fingers crossed at this point in time. So for my other 2 children, they will also be sent with the same type of mask, and there is a wire at the top, reusable. It does have the pocket for the filter. However, that is dependent on the weather. So this is a last resort mask. Both of my daughters, one is going into grade 3, one is going into grade 6, will be sent with these half face respirators. It's funny because I know that there will be some people watching this that are just guffawing and thinking this is ridiculous. I need to do what I feel is the safest and most responsible option for my children at this point, given that my daughter, who's going into grade 6, could have upwards of 30 children in her class. I need to do what I can to feel that I'm doing everything I can when she's not in my care throughout the day, and I have no idea what her classroom is going to look like. So both of my daughters, grade 3 and grade 6, are being sent with these half-face respirators. We purchased these online, and my husband and I still have yet to decide what their eye care is going to look like, whether or not we will send them with some of the safety goggles. We'll see, but for now, this is the plan for them, and as is the case with my son, they will also be having the hand sanitizer and the holder as well. Because I have mentioned this before, all three of my children suffer from severe eczema, weather dependent and whatever they're touching, contact dependent. I've also purchased some of the Neutrogena hand cream. This is the Norwegian formula. It's like a salve almost. It's very thick. It's somewhat transparent. It's a foggy looking cream, unscented, but I have a feeling for the amount they're going to be using the hand sanitizer, they're going to need the cream or their eczema will be running rampant. Oh, and so I wanted to show you, this is for my son, my youngest, the kindergarten. You just press the little head. Well, you're supposed to press the little head. This one's not working anymore. I'll have to look into this guy. But, okay. So to move on to me, I will also be wearing the half face respirators, just so I have mine in a larger size. And as I mentioned, when I go into small enclosed spaces where I cannot guarantee my own social distancing or 2 meters right now, I wear a full face. And again, I'll insert that somewhere here. So right now, we have not been given too much information as of yet with regards to what recess will look like, with regards to what snack time, lunch time, and as I said, I'd like to mention things as I think of them or as I remember them. Something that is of major concern to me as a teacher. So my daughter's and son's school can deal with this. However, I'm just looking ahead, and I am a planner. If it is raining all day and it is indoor recess and the kids do not get a chance to go outside, I feel, I don't even know what to say at this point. So could you imagine being in grades 4 to 8 right now? But as I said, my kids will have their masks on all day, my own children, my biological children. Could you imagine wearing this from... My school starts at 8:30 and ends at 3. Could you imagine wearing this from 8:30 to 3 all day long in a publicly funded school? And the reason I keep mentioning that is because I need you to understand something. The private schools have a lot more access to funding. So my school is not air conditioned. None of the rooms in my school have air conditioning. So wearing this, it's pretty thick. I would say it's the same thickness of almost like a cloth diaper, just to give you an idea. Wearing that all day long indoors. In September and June, our school can be above 25 degrees Celsius, the classrooms. It's very hot. As of right now, the windows open, I think a maximum of 10 centimeters for safety. There's nails. You cannot lift them. Will they change that? I don't know. But unless there's a breeze, those classrooms are boiling. Wearing this all day long, stuck inside all day long in 25 plus temperatures. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll deal with it when we come to it, right? Because I don't know anything more. I haven't been told anything more, but that's definitely a consideration that I'm thinking about at this point in time. So for my own classroom, I plan on bringing quite a bit of the Lysol spray. I also purchased a hands-free hand sanitizer dispenser. So this is for my own personal use. I would assume at this point that each classroom is going to have one of the dispensers on the wall outside of each classroom. And I would say, I'm saying I assume because I'm not sure. So I would assume that's what will be done though. And I've also purchased some gloves. A lot of the items that I purchased, I got on Amazon. No sponsorship, no affiliation. I'm just telling you where I got them with my own money. And I don't get reimbursed. So I'm telling you this to try to share what I'm doing. But yeah, so I'm concerned. I'm very scared. I had a bit of a breakdown the other night about my youngest. I trust that my grade 3 and my grade 6 children will be safe and keep those masks on. But he's 4 now, he'll be 5 soon. But for that one, I don't know. And I'm just so scared for him. And again, there's no right answer to this. You need to do what you need to do as a parent, as someone sending kids to school, if you are sending them. Also, just to mention quickly, if you are opting for the online option right away as opposed to the in-class, please know that with a lot of the boards here in Ontario, you can't just switch. You can't say, well, I'm going to wait a couple of weeks and then switch to in-class. We'll see how it goes. And if it goes well, I'm going to switch. There are timelines. So if you're opting for online, I know with my board specifically, and I believe my daughter's board, you cannot choose to switch back to in-class until the end of October. So September and October will be fully at home with an online platform. So please keep that in mind. You can check your board's websites if you have any. They usually have a frequently asked questions site. I know that my board is having an emergency board meeting tonight, which I will be watching virtually, of course. And I'll keep you informed of any updates that I learn. But yeah, scary time for sure. I hope you're all taking care. I hope you're all doing well. And for those of you that like the singing, sorry, but I couldn't fit it in this week. So happy Saturday. Take care. Be well. And I'll see you in my next upload. Bye.